Hello and welcome to this week's OTR Team Time Trial Series. My name is Andy and I'll take you through the highlight show, which shows you 11 teams trying to battle it out today, and what an interesting set of battles going on. So let's try and look at the start again. For the first minute, we have RTR, Eureka, Australia Koalas and OTR Wicked. So I think most of the teams are trying to battle, trying to get 6 riders in for each team, but not everyone can at the moment. So you can see OTR Eureka and Koalas fielding 4, RTR with 5, and OTR Wicked again with 5. So let's see which of the 4 teams here can get back into that pace line as quickly as possible. Shane's having a bit of a mare with his steering at the moment, so he's had a few technicals. And he's also helping to do the recording as well, so thanks for that. But you can see he's battling going backwards and forwards. It may be just a calibration issue, but he's been dropped quite heavily now. He's got 30 odd meters to try and catch up. Eureka, RTR in that pace line quite nicely. So RTR doing really well this week. There. And next we've got Australia Dingoes, OTR Blue, OTR Black, and 3R Mushroom. Excuse me. So again, not a full field of riders by any means. So OTR Blue, there's only 3 of us. Myself, Peter and Gordon. Dingoes, what was it? Ian, Noel, Ben and Scott. OTR Black, fielding 5. They had Kevin, Keith, Peter, Rich and Pear. Pear's just come back from holiday, and Rich had a problem right at the start, so you can see he's now just trying to pull that gap back to Keith, which is the back of the group, and he's going to do that, but I think he gets a couple of these types of situations. With 3R Mushroom, you got Fred off at the front with 13-14 meters, JP, Gav, Wayne and Lee. And thanks to JP for doing the recordings. You see JP quite a lot in the up and coming split times. Excuse me. And Ultraviolet, ASRT and Peddlers. And I think the only team... No, there's 6. So ASRT and Peddlers are the only teams that have been able to find 6 riders for their race. Ultraviolet with 5. And who have we got? We have Lutz, Neil, Tony, Jim and Adrian in the squad today. I'm just there recording. Peddlers, we've got Doug, but you got Matthias on the front at the moment. That's just changed to Christoph. So you got Doug, John, Daniel, Matthias, Henrik, and Christoph, and they're getting into line. So it's interesting to see how Peddlers work, but it's also fantastic to see what a squad looks like when they're doing a team time trial. They're all wearing the same helmet, the same top, the same bike, and the same colour of bike. And if we can get that for all the rest of the teams, that'll be fantastic to watch. So that was the start. Let's try and go into the 5k splits now. Excuse me. Still under the weather at the moment. So RTR, look at that pace line, but there is gaps. We do need to try and close those because you're not getting the draft that you need to. And what you'll find is that gaps will keep coming up. So what you got, Richards, got a savings of 24 watts at the moment. So if he goes a bit quicker, get into the behind, who was it, Ray? Now you look at his watts, he's going up to 92 to 100. But now he's behind Ray. He's still trying to do the same watts he was doing before, and that's where he goes into the red. So you're not going to get any saving by trying to push the rider in front of you. So again, RTR just looking that they just need to close those gaps up a bit more. Australia koalas looking really good. Only fielding for the moment. So you got Barry, Wendy, Dave, and Bryson. Barry's moved from one of the other teams to help out koalas this week. OTR wicket doing fantastic. And who did we have? We had Andy. You got Sean at the front. As I say, Shane, we dropped because of those technicals with the steering. Paul and Andrew are remaining. Okay, so into Australia Dingoes. Scott's normally with Sharks, so he's again helping out with Australia Dingoes this week. And you got Ian, Noel, and Ben with him. And again, they're only fielding for. OTR Blue, I'm at the front. So we got a field of ill riders, I could say. So I think we're all very ill. And we're there really protecting Gordon because we need to finish with 3. So the watts are a bit lower than they would normally be. But to be honest, absolutely fantastic job from the rest of the team. And we do finish. OTR Black does look as though Peter's been dropped, so he's had lots of technicals. Rich is back up with the group again, so you got Kevin, Keith, Rich, Per, and as I say, I'm just recording their race. And with 3-arm mushroom, Wayne, Fred, JP, Lee, and Gav. Now Gav is going into the red a bit there, so just need to check that he's going to be okay staying with that group. Yeah, all looking really good so far. And finally, for the 5K splits, OTR Ultraviolet, AESRT, and Pedalers. So Christoph's at the back, Dan's at the front with John, Matthias, Daniel, and Henrik. But look at that paceline, guys. So if you want to do and look at what the paceline should look like, have a look at Pedalers. AESRT, again, doing really well. Who have we got in AES? So Roman, Arnold, Dennis, Aku, Valdi, and Jojo, but I think Valdi's dropped. So Valdi's a specialist climber, and it's quite high pace for this. So what we may do is see him joining back next week. And again, I'm there just to record the race for them. So again, interesting lines. So Ultraviolet choosing just to go the right end of the centre line. If you look at Pedalers and ASRT, they're about the same position. But they're either going towards the left, going towards the right, or centre. Centre's a lot easier because then you don't have the hassle of trying to duck all the trees which have grown since the last software update. So looking at 3R Mushroom and OTR Black, neck and neck, very similar to Australia Koalas and OTR Eureka on the 5K splits. So let's see how they get on. But again, RTR looking really well organised now. They've closed those gaps. They're still there. So anything less than, say, 2 meters from the rider in front of you, you're starting to increase that power. That power goes into red. So the ideal is between 1 and 2 meters, 2 at most. and you've got quite a few gaps there creeping up. We'll see that later on as well. Same for Eureka. Now Eureka, this is their second run. They had a problem in the first one, so you got Stephen, Brian, Alfred, and Troy, and they had a problem with the previous one, but they've also had technicals on this run as well. And you've got a bit of a gap, so they need to try and close that up quite quickly. OTR Wicked. There's again quite a small gap between Andrew and now Paul, but they'll close that up quite nicely, and then Paul will get on the back. We're seeing less of the surges at the back to try and get back onto the rear wheel, which is also great to see, and you'll see more of the steering capabilities as we go on week, because the teams are getting more used to steering now. And it's either 2 clicks right, 2 clicks left, ease back, and then 2 clicks in, whichever direction you've gone from, whether it's right or left. Dingoes, again, good pace line, not a lot of gaps. So there is one just behind Ian. 3R Mushroom, 2 seem to be all over the shop. JP's on the centre line, but everyone else is 3 clicks over, or even 4 clicks over. Gav looks as though he is dropping, so unfortunately Gav is dropping from that group, and it looks as though JP is now just pushing out, so he's dropping Lee a little bit. So hopefully Lee will get back on. So let's have a look at OTR Blue. Fantastic team there. I must say so myself. So again, we're just trying to put a time in. The team have done a fantastic job to get where we are today. But as I say, we only could field 3, so we're a bit limited on what the options are. But again, Gordon and Peter are doing a fantastic job with OTR Blue. Ultraviolet, again, it just seems that the pace line is a bit off at the moment. Peddlers, cracking job, but they have lost Christoph between the 5k and 10k split, so he's now 385 meters behind. Meters. Injustice to Christoph. But really strong team. And what you're seeing is Peddlers and ASRT battling it out on each of the splits. ASRT, slight gap. So, slight gap to Arnoud. But Jojo, it's nice to see Jojo there. I had a chance to talk to Jojo a couple of months ago. Great to see him. So if you look at Peddlers, 1338, and AESRT 1340, so 2 second gap. Ultraviolet a little bit far behind, so 1430. But that's what you're going to see. So as I said, Peddlers 1338, AESRT 1340, OTR Black and Mushroom. OTR Black have gone up, same as Eureka against Australia Koalas. But look at that, 1709 against 1711. So you'll see those battles, and we'll get more of that as we go along. So RTR with Glenn, Carolyn, Ray, Richard and Sean. Now between Sean and Richard, there's quite a bit of a gap at the moment, so you've got an 8 metre gap to try and close up. Now I think between the 10 and the 15, I could be wrong, it's one of them where it's 10, 5 of the 10 to 10 to 15. Ray had a technical, so he lost a connection and had about a 190-meter gap to try and claw back, which he did, and he's just dropped again. And he's going to drop back to about 180 odd meters, and then he's going to get back on again. So well done, Ray, for that incredible pulls to get back onto the team. And we've lost from OTR Eureka. We lost Stephen. So that was the technical that was talked about earlier. So Stephen's been dropped. So you just have Brian, Alfred, and Troy remaining in OTR Eureka. And I don't think anyone else was dropped so far. So other teams looking really good. Australia Dingoes. Francis on the front with Noel. And you've got Ian. No, you had the Ben then Ian. But again, looking really, really strong. 3R Mushroom. Hi JP. So great to see JP there with Fred and Wayne. And we have lost Lee. So that the start of that pull from JP on the 10k mark up to the halfway point. I think Lee did come back, but he's been dropped again. So Lee's now dropped back towards Gav at the moment. So 3R Mushroom only with 3 riders. OTR Black also only with 3 riders with Per, Keith and Kevin. Rich has been dropped, unfortunately. I think there was another technical that he had with Peter. OTR Blue looking really strong. As I say, we have to finish because we haven't started with 3. So that will affect our time, but it's doing really well. So 22:33 is really good for what we've been doing. Ultraviolet, again, no one's been dropped, which is good, but you've got quite a number of small little gaps opening up. So what you want to do, try close those. And with Peddlers, no one else has been dropped. Christoph is doing really good though. Trying to get back on. He doesn't, but he's still doing a really good job. And with AESRT, no one's dropped so far. Just the pace line of AESRT is a bit odd. Whether that's calibration issues, maybe it's a technique for when they want to do a climb. What's the point of everyone being in a line on the climb? But they are dropping Dennis. So he's now 32 meters behind this group of 4 now. But once they're on that climb, they go back into that pace line. So maybe it is just a technique that they're using. And Peddlers are doing something similar as well. So they're now they're going back into their pace line. And Ultraviolet were as well. So looking at Peddlers and ASRT at the 15k, you've got 2 seconds, with Ultraviolet and OTR Black neck and neck on 21:57. So that's where we've been seeing all of the teams just moving around. So this course is ideal for that. And for next week, we are going to see quite a lot of changes with the teams, with the hill climb in the middle of the race. So RTR just going under the kite. With Carolyn just trying to close up the gap to Ray. As I say, Ray had that 2 technicals of about 180 odd meters to climb to claw back into the team, and he's back there again. So well done, Ray, big strong rider. OTR Eureka, No one else has been dropped, so they've still got the 3. Koalas are doing really well as good Dave. Then you got Wendy, Bruce, and Barry's there as well. And OTR Wicked, Sean, Paul, Andy, Andrew, and as I say, so Andrew's been dropped, and I would assume that's because of the end of the climb, because they're nearing the finish at the moment. And as I say, Shane's doing a fantastic job recording the race. So last couple 100 metres to go. And this is where you start to see all the gaps. And you only need the first 3 to finish to record the time for the team. So Carolyn's being dropped slightly. Richard's going back into the group. So you've got 4 there coming up, so awesome. So 4 for RTR. Wendy coming through now to complete that. For Australia Koalas, OTR Blue, we've been swapped, so Dingoes are now ahead of OTR Blue, and Ultraviolet have come back from the last group, so they've dropped 2 places, and it looks like 3R Mushroom have gained those 2 places. So what can we see? Again, 1.5, 1.15, but we're hitting the 1K mark for each of the teams. No one else has been dropped that I can see. Still got the 3 for OTR Black, Ultraviolet. What looks as though we dropped. It's interesting. So between the 15 and the finish, Adrian first got dropped, then Lutz got dropped. I would assume that was Lutz pulling out a big pull on the climb for the team, and then dropping towards the end of that. So well done, OTR Ultraviolet. But as I say, they dropped a couple of places. What can we say about OTR Black? You got Keith, Pear, Kevin on the front. With Rich and as I say, Rich and Peter dropped for technicals, and Ian, Noel, Scott, and Ben. Coming up to the 100 metre mark, 75, 50, 25. And Dingo's 30.08, OTR Blue 30.10, so that's the 2-second gap that they pulled out on OTR Blue. So 3R Mushroom, JP, Wayne and Fred with 1.4 kilometres to go. ASRT, you've got Ramon, Arnold, Aku's there, Jojo's there, but Jojo, so Jojo's dropped because of the climb. So Jojo put in a big pull on the climb for the team. So Aku's now in front. So left with 3. And with Peddlers, John Beams, he's still recovering. So he's done an incredible job. So they're left with 4. And are we going to see anyone else drop? Daniel's just dropping a little bit. So whether Daniel's finished. Yeah, so it looks like Daniel Neugebauer's finished. And the 3, so Dan, Matthias and Henrik are going to go to the finish line. You got JP, Wayne and Fred. And Arnold, Aku and Roman for AESRT. So looking at the times, 3R Mushroom is 29.09, so they've clawed that time back. in the last part of the race. ASRT have pulled it back again, so they've been second. They're now first with 27.28, and Peddlers 27.31. I know the results show that it's 27.32, but it's I've rounded down rather than rounded up. So looking at this, ASRT pulled it back on Peddlers, Mushroom above to Ultraviolet down to Australia Dingoes, and Blue have swapped. So absolutely awesome race. So can't wait till next week. So thank you for watching. And a big shout out to Derek. Hope you're feeling well. Let us know how things are going. And to our sponsor, Torm. Thank you for being sponsor of the series. Again, thanks for watching, and like and subscribe.